The content of this video is intended for service technicians. The procedures and processes depicted are to be performed only by trained technicians. All procedures and processes were filmed in a controlled environment. Some safety equipment and/or safety guards or barriers have been removed or foregone for visual clarity. Always read and apply the general and specific safety rules and safety messages presented in the appropriate service manual and operator's manual. Always wear appropriate personal protection equipment.
Hi, it's Russ with the Tech Training Team, and we're going to talk about how to repair DEF coolant lines. So if you open up an NGPC catalog on a Tier 4A or a Tier 4 vehicle, and here I've opened up the Steiger 500 four-wheel drive tractor. If you click on the engine section and you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see a couple of pages here. One with DEF AdBlue lines and the other one with the coolant service lines. And so we're going to look into this coolant service parts here. So I click on that, and you can see there's lots of different choices here for coolant lines, and then there's text that explains each one of these. So let's take a look at each one of these on the bench, and then we'll come back to the NGPC and we'll look at the descriptions that are in the catalog. Here are the coolant repair parts. So we've got individual pieces that you can order to repair any portion of the coolant lines within the two bundles. So we have just a generic hose. It's a 1 meter hose that can be used to repair any piece of the coolant system within a two bundle. This is also available in a 10 meter piece. That would be considered like a bulk roll, and you just cut off whatever length of hose that you need to make that repair within the two bundle. Now, this hose then would go along with a coupler and some hose clamps that can also be purchased separately to make that repair within the two bundle. We also have coolant lines that are made up with an end on them already, either in a 90 or a straight, and these would be like the fittings that are on your coolant control valve. So you replace the entire line with the fitting together. And again, here we're going to use the coupling and the hose clamps. Just cut it to whatever length we need, and then make that splice wherever we need to make it within the two bundle. And then over here we have pre-made coolant lines. So they have a fitting on one end and a fitting on the other that would act as a coupling on the corrugated tubes within the two bundle. Again, straight or 90-degree angles, depending on whether you're going to the WEMA or the supply module or wherever you need that coolant repair end made. And again, in various sizes of couplings here. And then we also have O-rings, and the O-rings are used to repair the couplings or the O-ring within the coupling. So if you think you've got a failed O-ring, you can purchase just the O-ring and put that in and see if that is your repair, instead of having to replace the entire end and couple it back in here, but just replace the O-ring. So all of these would be available in the NGPC as individual parts, so always refer to the NGPC to find the individual repair parts that you need to repair the coolant lines. Okay, so now that we've seen the parts on the bench, let's take a look here in the NGPC and see what we really have here. So if we look over here in the diagram, you notice that this top hose up here, it consists of many different pieces. So we've got an O-ring and a fitting and a tube and then another fitting. And you could buy individual parts, but that's really not how we want to make the coolant line repairs when we have a damaged fitting. What we prefer to do is we'd prefer to buy the whole thing and replace it at this connector number 12 here, because that's going to be the best place to make the repair. So not really sure that you would want to use these individual parts maybe at some point in time, but it's going to be much easier if you take the entire hose assembly there. So you can see item number 2 is the hose, and the text over here tells us it's a coolant repair, and we install that into the existing line with a clamp. We see the same thing on part number 4, and you can see it consists of several individual component parts. So we'd want to use that one. We'd also want to use item number 6 to make a repair, item number 8 to make a repair, and item number 10 to make a repair, in that they've got everything put together for us and we don't have to try to put a fitting into the end of a tube, which is going to be much more difficult than repairing it with the entire pieces or parts. Now, the other thing you'll notice is that on the usage, we do describe where these kind of go and how they go together. The other thing that we have is item number 13 is just a tube, and it's just, you can see it's a big long bulk tube, and this is just to repair the hose in the middle. You'd have to use a couple of hose clamps and fittings to put it all together as well. But let's take a look now at how we would take one of these tube assemblies and make the repair on a coolant line that had a damaged fitting. Okay, so we're going to show you how to make a corrugated coolant line repair. So I've got a portion of a tube bundle sitting on the table here, and we're just going to make the assumption that this fitting has failed and the O-ring won't do it. So now I want to replace this fitting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through my pre-made service parts for the corrugated coolant repair parts and find the appropriate one that matches with the fitting that I need to replace. So in this case, it's the one in the middle here. So I'll just remove it from the bag. So what we're going to do is match this up. And when you lay this side by side, we got the same fittings here, and you notice if you come down the corrugations, there's a spot in the corrugated tube that's smooth walled, and that's where this hose barb is designed to fit in that smooth wall piece. And you'll find it on the ends of every one of these corrugated lines, that if you go back in the tube bundle a ways, you'll find that smooth piece, and that's where we're going to make the repair. So we're going to take our cutters out of our toolkit, and we're going to cut the line, and we're going to leave as much of this smooth wall tubing as we can, and we're going to cut it as long as we possibly can, and straight and square. Put the clamp on, take the repair part, and before you tighten the clamp, you'd want to make sure that the orientation of the fitting is correct to mate up with whatever part you're trying to repair. Okay, so we just saw how to make these corrugated coolant line repairs, and that goes along with this barb fitting here, or the union as they call it here. But you can also make repairs using these tubes down here, and you notice that they don't have a union in them, so you'd have to come up with a union or some other way to make those repairs in there with this union here, which is the brass union, and then you need a couple of clamps as well, and that should get you the ability to find all of the pieces that you need in order to make coolant line repairs.